So long as these problems are not solved, so long as ignorance and poverty remain on earth, these words cannot be useless.
These words open the second of 7 broadcasts based on Victor Hugo's unforgettable work, Les Miserables. WOR and the Mutual Network present Orson Welles, distinguished young author, actor, and director, in an adaptation of this novel which he has made especially for radio. Mr. Welles plays the role of Jean Valjean, and he is also heard reading from the book itself as he binds together the dramatic action. Each broadcast unfolds a moving chapter in the progress of Valjean. Last week, we pictured the meeting of Jean Valjean with the bishop and the regeneration of his tormented soul. Les Miserables, Part 2, the episode which is called Javert.
(1817). Napoleon was at St. Helena. A thing which smoked and clacked on the Seine went and came beneath the windows of the Tuileries. It was a sort of toy called the steamboat. 1817. It was in this year that 4 young gentlemen of Paris played a joke on their sweethearts. One of these young gentlemen was Félix Tholomyès, and his sweetheart was Fantine.
Excuse me, please, lady.
Yes? What is it?
It's something your gentleman left for you.
Well, there's no address. See what's written on it, Fantine. It says, "This is the surprise." What's inside? Just a moment. Sweetheart, at the moment when you read this, 4 mettlesome horses will be bearing us back to our mammas and papas. We are returning to society, to duty and to order on a full trot at the rate of 3 leagues an hour. Mourn for us rapidly and replace us speedily. Adieu. Signed Blancheville, Fanny Listelet, and Félix Tholomyès. P.S. The dinner is paid for.
It was a good joke. The girls laughed. Fantine laughed like the rest. But later she wept bitterly. For Tholomyès was her first love, and the poor girl had a child. This, it will be remembered, was in 1817. At 22 years of age, on a fine spring morning, Fantine left Paris, her child in her arms. She went back to Montreux, where she was born, and she found the little city greatly changed. An unknown man, a stranger, had conceived the idea of substituting gumlac for resin in the manufacture of synthetic jet. This very slight change worked an industrial revolution. In less than 3 years, the inventor of this process had made a fortune for himself and for the whole region. He had built a great factory in which there were 2 workshops, one for men and the other for women.
Yes, what is it?
Are there jobs open in the workshop?
There are always jobs here. Have you a husband?
No, monsieur.
Any dependents?
No.
Name?
Mademoiselle Fantine.
You will commence today. Monsieur Madeleine, the owner, requests only that you be willing and of good moral.
Oh, yes, monsieur.
I'll assign you to your place. Come with me.
So Fantine went to work in the jet factory and kept a secret. For as long as she stayed there, they must never find out about her child. She had left this child in the care of a couple she met on the road to Paris. They were innkeepers, and they were called the Thénardiers. She paid them 57 francs, all that she had, and she trusted them.
A letter for you, mademoiselle.
Thank you. My dear madame, your little Cosette has outworn her wardrobe. It will be impossible for us to keep Cosette with us any longer for less than 12 francs per week, payable in advance. Sincerely, Thénardier.
They had pawned the child's wardrobe. Who were these Thénardiers? The woman was a brute, and the man was a blackguard. But Fantine knew nothing of this, and she sent them the money. The child's clothes being gone, they dressed her in rags. And they fed her on scraps, little better than the dog, and a little worse than the cat. They put her to work. She was made to run errands, to sweep the rooms and the yard and the street. In the village, they called this little child the lark. This tiny being no larger than a bird, trembling, frightened and shivering, awake each morning, first of all in the house and in the village, and always on the street or the fields before dawn. But the poor lark never sang. Fantine took a small room and furnished it on the credit of her future labor. She worked hard, thought of nothing but Cosette, and was almost happy. Not being able to say she was married, she took care not to speak of her child. But the women began to whisper in the workshop, and Fantine was watched. More than a few were jealous of her fine teeth and her golden hair.
Mademoiselle.
Oh, yes, monsieur.
You have been with us in this establishment for over a year. Here are 50 francs.
50 francs?
They are donated by your employer, Monsieur Madeleine. They will cover your expenses. I must ask you to seek employment elsewhere.
Elsewhere? What do you mean?
Mademoiselle, the existence of your child has been revealed to us. Good day, mademoiselle.
Fantine offered herself as a servant, but nobody wanted her. She began to make coarse shirts for the soldiers. For 12 sous, she sewed 17 hours a day, but her creditors gave her no rest. How could she pay? She couldn't. How could she live? She learned. She learned from an old woman who sewed with her, named Marguerite.
We who have grown old in privation can extract much from a sou.
But 15 francs, Marguerite. Think of it. The Thénardiers wrote me. They want 3 more francs a week, and you know what I earn.
You'll learn.
But you can't live on 6 sous a day.
No, my girl. But you can starve on it. It's a science.
Summer passed away, and winter returned. Short days and less work. In winter, there is no heat, no light, no moon. Evening touches morning. The whole day is a cave, and the sun is a pauper.
Madame Fantine, Cosette is sick of an epidemic disease, a military fever. She must have medicine, and drugs are dear. Unless you send us 40 francs within a week, the little one will die.